much for tuning into Ion Music. My name is Finch, and I am so excited about this particular show because this is Ion Music Presents Spotlight Waterloo Region. 4 bands, 4 performances right here at the Edelweiss Tavern in Kitchener. And they have been such a great supporter of the live entertainment scene here in the region. It was so exciting for us to be able to be here today, to be working with these artists. Let's kick it off with the first band, the Eric Charles Band. Yeah, this is exciting.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Now, Eric, this was an idea that you had actually brought to the table about really just showcasing a number of artists in one big concert. Tell me about this idea.
I thought, well, we've done so many contests over the last little while, and all bands need to do that, right? We get a lot of promotion out of the contests. But then I thought, well, why don't we do something where everybody in our neighborhood can come and check us out on TV, and give us that opportunity. So, we talked. You brought the producers together, I brought the bands together, and it all worked out great. So
4 bands today, the Eric Charles Band, Paradox, Amberwood, and 78. This is so exciting today. Tell me about the selection process.
We all played at Big Music Fest. That was last year, 2014, and we played in the Breaking Bands contest. I really liked the sound of 78 and Amberwood. I really enjoyed their sets and thought that they were a perfect fit for our band. And Paradox has been rocking out for about a year now as well, so I've been listening to them going, oh wow, there's a lot of progress being made, so let's give everybody an opportunity to showcase and rock together.
Yeah, awesome. All right, let's introduce everybody in the band, Eric.
Great, so
my name's Nick Maldonado. I play guitar and do background vocals.
I am Eric Sherlock, or just Sherlock if it's easier, and I play the drums.
My name is Neil Nunamaker. I play the bass guitar.
I'm Luke Collins. I play the keyboards.
Awesome. So you guys are from Waterloo.
Yeah.
Kitchener.
Kitchener, yeah.
Kitchener specifically. Mm-hmm. Now you're a fairly young band. You've only been doing this now for a couple of years. Tell me a little bit about getting started. Now I know Eric, you'd been a musician for a long, long time, but assembling this cast of characters, putting the group together, tell me a little bit about it.
It was actually a lot of fun. Luke and I met over an ad that I put on Kijiji. I was like looking for keyboard player. He answered. I was like, somebody actually answered? All right. Let's see if he's normal. So I went up to the piano room at Wilfrid Laurier University. That's where Luke was going to school. And I brought my acoustic up there, and I just gave him a couple of ideas of songs that I had, and we jammed them out. And I was really impressed with his playing. He was doing some vocals as well, just after a couple of rehearsals. And I thought, wow, this guy's a really good fit for what I do. But now we need to find the rest of the guys. So at that time I was looking at, different talent shows that were going on around town. And I ran into Mr. Eric Sherlock. Sherlock was one of the judges in the competition. And we got chatting after the show, and I told him what I do, and he said, wow, that's interesting. We just kind of stopped working with a singer-songwriter. And I was like, well, it's perfect timing then. Would you guys be interested in having a listen to my material? And he's like, well, I actually got a bass player and a guitar player, and I'm a drummer. And I was like, this is kind of like a match made in heaven, right? So I gave him the material, and I didn't really have any expectations because, again, just introducing the songs to somebody that are original sometimes is, it has to fit their personality as well. And about a week after that, he sent me a message saying, let's meet at Tim Hortons, let's have a coffee and talk about the expectations. And we just started jamming after that. First practice was amazing when I got to meet Nick and Neil. Nick's vocals fit harmony-wise perfectly. And I was just like, this can't get any better. And we started jamming after maybe 2 or 3 rehearsals. We were playing in Toronto live, 45-minute set, all original songs, and getting a great reaction from the crowd.
Amazing.
Yeah,
congratulations.
so cool.
That's awesome, guys? So awesome. So tell me then, for the other members of the band, when you're, getting yourself involved in somebody else's project where it's somebody else's music, they're the primary songwriter in the band. Tell me a little bit about coming into that and bringing your own flair to what you're already hearing done on the music.
The main thing is to try and understand the message of this person's music. Talent, skill, you kind of assume that everybody has some level of those things, and you'll figure that out later. the most important thing for me was to spin the CD and to try and understand the message that Eric was trying to convey. And right away, I got into it. It was pretty easy. And as musicians, you have to become adaptive to other people and other settings. And I think this group is experienced enough to where it really didn't take a whole lot of time, because the message came through to us very quickly, and the process was very natural. So credit to Eric's songwriting, I guess, because that's really the key, is getting the message, and then you can kind of go from there.
Okay, so tell me a little bit then, Nick, for you, when you're listening for the first time, I mean, you've got your friend Sherlock here, he says to you, hey, I've met this musician. You must have had some real trust then in what he was saying about this new project for you to be able to say, yeah, I'm just going to like jump into it. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, I would say definitely there was an element of trust already in the background. I mean, when I first was talking to him, I remember being at work and it was kind of slow in the store. I remember getting a message saying, hey, I think I've got something that we should talk about. And I knew that obviously if Eric Sherlock is coming to the table with a musical project and he wants me involved in it, he thinks that it's going to be a good fit for us. He thinks that it'll be something that it'd be easy to get into. And just, I mean, after playing with him for a while, him and Neil both as well, I feel like if they want to work together on something and they're inviting me to be a part of it as well, then there's definitely got to be something that we all have in common that he sees, that we can all get into the right mode and really give back to the project.
Okay, so for Luke and Neil back there, okay, if we were going to stuff this band into a genre box, you know, what was it about the sound of what Eric was bringing to the table that really drew you to the project, where you said, you know what, I really love this music, and I think this is something we can take it to another place?
Well, I guess speaking for myself, I can't speak for Neil, but just upon hearing this stuff, it was really this aspect of open-mindedness that we both had to have, because it's very different than the background that musically we come from in the first place.
Okay, where do you come from? Tell me a little bit.
Well, I come from more of a classical background. That's kind of how I started playing piano, and I've got into this habit of writing a lot of classical music in my spare time, but a lot more blues stuff, I'd say, you know, Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin, and I could probably say the same for Neil and the rest of the guys here. So it was nice to just, you know, come with this open mind and not necessarily think about what we could do to provide music from the standpoint that we knew, but how we could shape ourselves to help someone else out with their project and make his music better with what we know, you know.
Does it ever become daunting? I know I'm avoiding you, Eric, because I'm going to see if I can't drag some secrets out of these guys. Is it ever daunting at all, though? I mean, this is Eric's music, right? Like, this is something that Eric's been working on. He's entrusting that music back to you guys. Is there ever that sort of element of intimidation when you're putting this together, or do you think it was more of a let's make, you know, this very flavorful, a lot of variety a part of it?
I think Eric's made it really easy for all of us. He's been just accepting of all of our different styles, and he's been just willing to listen to what we have, our input. He's more accepting to that, rather than, he doesn't give us orders at all. He doesn't tell us what to do. He lets us first just do our own impression. So he'll bring a song to the table and give us the chords, but he won't tell us really too much. He might say it's this kind of style that he's looking for, but he'll give us that freedom to do whatever we want, basically. And then from there, it might just develop. He might give us a little idea, maybe like this is what I was thinking, but for sure it's been really nice. We can do whatever we want, basically. It's been a lot of freedom.
Did you pay him to say that?
After the show.
After the show.
I think it's safe to say, I mean, when we first met to talk about it, all of us were there sitting at a certain tavern nearby, having a drink and talking about our expectations and what we were trying to do with the music. And I think after discussing about it and seeing where we wanted to go, we all kind of agreed that at the end of the day, it was Eric's music that he brought to the table for us to work on, but we wanted to respect his vision and, just like Luke and Neil said too, just add our own little flavor to it. And it's been awesome. We've had the chance to do that, and there's never really been anything we've done that he says, no, I really don't like that. Don't play that again. No, we'll try something, and if it's something that doesn't necessarily fit a song, or if it's a part that's too extreme or not extreme enough, he'll say that, and all we have to do is rework it, and it seems to fit really well.
Awesome. Well, we're going to see a bit of the performance here on Ion Music Presents Spotlight Waterloo Region. This is the Eric Charles Band, and we'll be back in just a minute.
Make us all believe, baby. The lonely road that you're driving.
back to Ion Music Presents Spotlight Waterloo Region. This afternoon, we are down at the Edelweiss Tavern in Kitchener. We are highlighting 4 bands. We're kicking it off with the Eric Charles Band. Hi, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, they like to cheer for you guys. You got a nice big crowd over here. You guys are from Kitchener. I was going to say Waterloo again, but from Kitchener specifically. You've been together now for what, 2 years?
Almost 2 years.
And now we're going to see some new live music coming from you guys, new album. Tell me about it.
It's a 12-song record recorded at Noble Street Studios in Toronto. It's a real top-notch elite studio, and we recorded it with Gavin Brown, same producer that did the last Tragically Hip album, 3 Days Grace, The Trues. So we're really lucky to have him in our camp, and we're really excited to get this record out to this world.
Yeah. Okay, so Eric, you've been a musician all your life. I know. I started asking that question to people before. How long have you been a musician? And they say, since I woke up, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit. Then, do you think, with all the previous experience that you had, made this transition with this project maybe a little easier, or were able to forecast a little bit better, sort of navigate where you were going with it?
It all comes down to the musicians, and I felt really comfortable with this group. I was really excited about what we were doing in rehearsals and kind of putting all the pieces together. Getting their artistry involved into the songs to bring them to life is really key. So when we walked in there, we were exactly prepared to, our roadmap and what we wanted to do. We got a little bit of direction from Gavin and his team, but basically they just let us have it. And we were in there for 3 straight days, downtown Toronto. We all slept over. We got back up in the morning, went back to the studio, and basically recorded the whole record at that point.
Amazing. Okay, so tell me a little bit about the history of each of the members of this band. I mean, you've all been musicians. You've all played in various projects before. Let's start with you, Eric. Tell me a little bit about your experience prior to this.
My experience is I'm a songwriter. I feel things from life, from events, from people, and I write about it. And I don't know if that's maybe sometimes a little bit, therapeutic, or maybe sometimes it's just I feel something, I feel a moment, and I feel like everybody needs to share in that moment. And so for me to be able to write the songs and put those emotions in so that other people can get that back out has always been the win-win for me. So I love writing the songs. I'm not the greatest musician in the world, my songs are pretty standard, I guess, but when I have a really great band backing it up, putting in their energy, it really cranks it up and really gave us a real rock vibe.
All right, so for Sherlock, okay, we were outside earlier, and we were talking about how all you think about is drumming. You just are a drummer, that it's always in your head. Tell me about your experience prior to coming into the Eric Charles Band.
I spent a lot of years as a teenager just sort of cutting my teeth, I guess is the expression, as a musician. I had some good mentors who would give me good opportunities to participate in session bands, jazz trios. I played in a couple musicals. So it really just kind of got me used to playing in lots of different settings. And much unlike Eric, I've been more of a sort of a chameleon of a musician, in that I've done a lot of different things. And so when Eric came to me and presented his music to me, it wasn't too much of a surprise. It wasn't unfamiliar to me. So it was a very, very comfortable transition. I spent a lot of time working with bands that had a leader as well, where there's a head of the band, and that's an important structure to be used to in this band. Anytime you're working with a songwriter, they usually drive the ship, it's their vision, and you really have to respect that and make room for their ideas first. So that experience was very good for me coming into the Eric Charles Band, because it really is a melting pot, like Neil was saying earlier. I always say there's a difference between a discussion and an argument in a band, and it kind of explains the tone of your group. If your group is constantly having arguments about which note to play, which rhythm to go with, it's not exactly a good thing. But if you're discussing it, that's a different story, because you're going to have situations where you say, well, I don't like that beat on the and of 2, I think it should be on the and of 3. And we should be able to talk about that instead of bickering about it. And the 5 of us have a really easy go of that.
For sure. Okay, how about for you, Nick?
As far as my musical background, I come from a half Mennonite and half Ecuadorian family. So on the Mennonite side, Choir is a huge part of that.
I'm just thinking of that as like amalgamation, what that means for music.
It's pretty intense,
Yeah.
let me tell you. Growing up, I mean, we had 2 piano players in my house, my mom and my sister, so I grew up listening to my sister play piano. In church, when I did go to church, there would always be, whenever the hymns are sung, it'd be 4-part harmony. The entire congregation is singing, and there's something just so epic about hearing that in a church, as the acoustics are always amazing. So I had that kind of deeply ingrained in my brain from a young age. Watching my dad too play classical guitar, he played a lot of Latin American music and some Spanish songs, so that helped to influence me. In high school, I was definitely a choir boy. I have no shame about it anymore.
You shouldn't. You can hit the high notes. I can't hit any high notes.
I was a tenor. I was one of 5 tenors.
Okay.
So that helped a lot too. I guess I came from a more classically trained background that way. And when I started playing guitar, I was maybe 14 or 15, and I got into a lot of heavy music really fast. I remember seeing, for Pantera fans out there, Dimebag Darrell's bright cherry red goatee and him just shredding a solo in a music video. I think it was I'm Broken that I saw on MTV, and just blew my mind. So from that point on, I dedicated a lot of time to trying to learn more heavy guitar. Got into a lot of metal like Metallica, and some Swedish bands like In Flames and Arch Enemy really influenced my style as far as playing. And then as I got older, and I guess around 2010 when I met Neil and Eric, we started playing together, and they kind of opened my mind to more of the classic rock style, music that was less in your face all the time, but had a lot more going on. And so getting into more progressive music kind of expanded my palette for the guitar as well. It's getting me to be more of a melting pot myself for a lot of different styles.
Wow, I didn't expect anybody in the Eric Charles Band to tell me that they listen to metal. I'm just going to put that out there right now. And I mean, what about for you, Eric? Okay, like who would be a surprising influence for you?
A surprising influence?
Yeah, just a surprising influence before we go to a performance.
Oh, man, I really don't know. I don't
Who do you
even
think
know
would
where
be
to
the
go.
most, maybe unexpected person that you have on your iPod?
Probably maybe the Fray or something like
No,
that. I don't know.
the Fray. I can see the Fray. You guys can see the Fray, right? Yeah, you can see the Fray.
Right.
Okay, we want to do a little bit better. Come on. Who do you have on there that we wouldn't expect?
I don't know. I really don't know. That's a good question. That's an awesome question. I don't know. I don't
You
even know how
think
to
about it.
answer.
We're going to
All
see
right,
a
I'll think
performance of
about
the Eric Charles Band. Plus, we're going to hear about Neil and Luke's background in music. You're watching Ion Music presents Spotlight Waterloo Region. We'll be back after this.
Feels like a man would just look in my face, and I see you drowning, but you're out of my reach. Moonlight for me glows. I want you to know. I want you to know. I want you to know. I'm in for the ride.
Welcome back to Ion Music presents Spotlight Waterloo Region. I'm Finch. Thanks a lot for joining us. We've got 4 bands, 4 performances, all happening today at the Edelweiss Tavern in Kitchener. Super excited to be chatting with the Eric Charles Band. Hi, guys. Hi. Where we left off, we were talking about previous experiences and really just bringing those influences to the new band. So let's talk about with Luke and Neil here. Tell me a little bit about your experiences before you became part of the Eric Charles Band.
Well, for me, it kind of all started with back home in Vancouver. I had a piano teacher. This is after I was finished all the classical stuff, who I came to kind of interested in learning other things. And he happened to have a studio in his basement. And that really got me interested in the whole production side of music as well as other instruments altogether. So that's when I started to teach myself guitar, bass, drums, all the other instruments. And that's really what kind of pushed me into finding other music beyond just classical and beyond just the stuff that I was comfortable listening to beforehand, and that's what introduced me to a lot of Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and other things like that. And from then on, I was just playing music with my friends, or what I'd call music. Some people would just call noise, a lot of the Pink Floyd stuff. But I really enjoyed it, and there was this kind of, from there, it might be a bit dramatic to say this, but this enjoyment in just sounds in general, especially the more abstract things.
So you're a multi-instrumentalist. How many instruments do you actually play?
Oh, geez. A few.
A few. Okay, list them off for us. Let's hear it.
Okay. Define play. Bass,
Make
guitar,
noise
drums, piano. I don't sing nearly as beautifully as this guy. Now. Yeah, I mean, that's effectively what we're talking. Nothing extravagant.
You need to learn how to play the harp. I
Yeah.
challenge you. I challenge you to learn to play the harp.
Oh, man. It's not as easy to bring around to bars.
Oh, well, that's true. But you'll be extraordinarily unique. There you have it.
Hey,
So
I play the harp.
you play the harp. How about you, Neil, before you came to the Eric Charles Band?
I've been playing bass since I was in like grade 7 or something like that. And when I got into high school, I met Eric in the music program there. And we've been playing together ever since in different jazz bands. We played at Laurier in the jazz band there. And even any extra, like bands outside of school we did as well. We've been in jam bands, like rock cover bands, all kinds of stuff. So I primarily listened to classic rock, that kind of thing when I was growing up, and then started getting into more progressive rock when I met Eric. Learning a lot of Rush and stuff like that influenced me, just because I got to a point where it was the challenge I really liked. So playing complex music like that was definitely a defining point of my high school years. There's a lot of complex music. But it was really nice coming into the Eric Charles Band. That kind of, well, it's definitely different. It's a contrast compared to Rush and like Dream Theater and stuff like that. There's definitely a contrast, and it was nice to learn that kind of music because it's not easy to play simple music. People might think like, oh, it's really easy to play a slower song or something that's simple, but it's not. It's like sometimes it's a lot harder because the mistakes and the subtleties are a lot more noticed in
There's more
a
emotion,
simple song.
personality
Exactly,
that has to
yeah,
come into the music,
for
right?
sure. And
Which really plays a role when you are a musician. I think there might actually be an audience question for you guys today. Over here, come on over.
Hi.
Introduce yourself.
So I'm Heather Rebersma. I'm from New Art Radio on FM 98.5, and I'm a huge fan, obviously.
Thank you, Heather.
Been following your career for the last year or so. Noticed you have been working with a lot of people in Toronto and so on and so forth. What's keeping you in Waterloo region?
Ooh, there you
Well,
go.
that's a good question. This is our home base, and this is a home base to everybody, to the rest of the world. And that took me a long time to figure out, till I got a little bit older, is that this is your home base. It doesn't matter where you live. You need to go and explore the rest of the world from your home base. So if I was living in Seattle or if I was living in Toronto, it wouldn't really matter because that's just my starting point to the rest of this world. And now we have the Waterloo Region Airport. It gets us down to Chicago very quickly, and I got the rest of the world at my hands. So nothing is stopping us but opportunities, and we're ready for them, so bring them on.
Congratulations, the Eric Charles Band. You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
Eric, why don't you tell everybody how can they find the band, find you guys on social media, and get the new record?
Yeah, absolutely. www.eric-charles.com is the website. That gets you basically anywhere. On Twitter, @eCharlesMusic. On Facebook, you can join me as a friend, Eric Charles. Come in, I'll talk to you. I'll definitely, converse with you. Basically anything that you want to find is on our website. So just click on
Fantastic.
all the icons.
Another performance by the Eric Charles Band. This is Ion Music Presents Spotlight Waterloo Region. We'll see you next time right here on Rogers TV.
Wrinkled cheek, and there's no relief. No relief. The autumn leaf, the receive. Ricochet, and there's no relief.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Your hands start shaking, your mind starts racing. This dream we're all chasing.